We are going to continue today with using a template to create our comparison contrast essay that we've been working on to compare and contrast the play and the short story. First, let me say, if you were absent last week when we set up our notebooks with the introduction and conclusion templates, our two thesis statement templates, and then a template for the similarities paragraph and the differences paragraph, you want to stop the video right now, check in with a table group member, and check in and see if you can get one of these sheets of paper so that you can actually put together your templates first. Those are a pretty important part of what we're doing as we're writing this essay. For the majority of you, you were here last week when we worked on completing template 1, and I talked to you about how this is mostly just filling in the blanks as we go. I also mentioned to you, if you don't feel comfortable with some of the vocabulary that is listed on these templates, it is totally okay for you to use a thesaurus. Sorry about the spelling on that. That's what happens when you try to write and talk at the same time. It is totally okay for you to use a thesaurus on any of this language if you want to work through it and make it sound a little bit more like you, because I know this might not be part of your vocabulary yet, but hopefully these words do become a part of your vocabulary as you become a more experienced writer. So at this point, you should be done with 3 separate thesis statements just based off of template 1. If you're not done with those yet, stop the video right now, finish these thesis statements, and then you can move on to template 2. If you do have these 3 done, then you are ready to move on to the next part with me. So we're going to move on to the comparison contrast template 2, and I'm going to give you a little bit of time to write today. So you're going to see a lot of similarities in this structure as you did in the other one. There's still a lot of blanks because, again, we're working with a template, and all of this is just about filling in the blanks. Remember, too, everything that is listed down below that blank goes directly in the line up above it. And just like last time, you'll notice that there are 2 blank lines that don't have anything listed below it. That's where we put the similarity and difference between the things that we're comparing. And we know we are comparing the play and the story. So you can take a moment right now just to write those in as well. So just like we did last time, I wanted to talk about translating some of the language that's up above, because if you aren't familiar with using vocabulary like although they bear, that doesn't sound like it makes a whole lot of sense. So let me point out just a couple of things here. We know that although is a comparison and contrast transition word, which is a nice thing to use in your thesis statement. This one would be saying, although they have some small similarities, the differences between the play and the story are clear or obvious. Clear is a pretty good one to use here. So let's try this first one, just using the exact same language that is listed on the first line of each of the options down below. I'm going to go ahead and pause mine. I'll write mine out. I want you to do the same thing, and then we'll have a chance to play with this just a little bit more. All right, let's take a look at yours and see how it turned out. Hopefully yours is a little bit easier to read than mine is. All right, mine says, although they bear some superficial similarities, the differences between the play and the story are clear, which does make for a really nice thesis statement. Now, I'm going to pause my video. I'm going to list that stuff down here below. And just like last time, you noticed how big my handwriting is. I am probably going to have to use up some lines down below that too. So I'll list mine out, and then our next task is going to be to play around with some of the language up here to get 2 other thesis statements. Go ahead and pause the video. I want you to write out your own down below using the words from this template, and we'll see if we can come up with something that we really like. All right, now that you've resumed the video, hopefully you have 3 more thesis statements written based off of your template 2. At this point, I want you to look at the 3 that you have written from template 2 and the 3 that you have written from template 1, and decide which one of these you like the most. Which one do you want to base your paper off of? Now, I've already had a chance to look over mine, and I have decided to go with one of them from template 2. I kind of like the second one that I wrote here the most, and so I'm going to take this thesis statement and I am going to move it over to my thesis statement box for my compare and contrast introduction. Now you'll notice we don't work on the rest of the introduction or any parts of the conclusion for a couple of days now. We're actually going to get in and start working on the paragraphs next, but this thesis statement is one of the important parts of the paper because this really sets up the basis for your whole entire argument. So once you've moved over your thesis statement that you like into our template for the introduction, you are ready to start on one of the paragraphs for similarities and differences. Congratulations, you're done with step 1.